Welcome to Business Casual. I'm your host, Nav Manwa. This is a show. We provide you all the business news that's currently affecting us locally and globally. And to kick things off on this week's episode, I am joined by Amarpreet Kaur, who's the operations manager for the Rick Center. The Rick Center is presenting a pitch competition called Unlock Your Big Idea pitch competition, which is taking place in May of this year. Amarpreet, thank you so much for joining us here on Business Casual. Very excited to talk about this amazing event. It sort of has a little bit of a Dragon's Den vibe to it. I think, it's going to get some entrepreneurs nervous, but I think we like that. But before we jump into the event itself, give us a background on the Rick Center, because I know a lot of people have heard about the Rick Center, but probably aren't too sure as to the kinds of service it provides to the community.
Absolutely. So the Rick Center stands for the Research Innovation Commercialization Center. We're an innovation center. We basically help fast-track startups take their businesses to market. That's our motto, that's our mission, that's our vision. We do this through mentorship and advisory, hands-on workshops, and different networking events. We're part of this Ontario network of entrepreneurs. This is over 100 organizations all across Ontario, and all of them are dedicated to helping entrepreneurs. We serve the Peel region, so if you've heard of Mars Discovery District,
Yes.
we call ourselves like their little brother.
Excellent. That's good.
Helping the Peel region. Basically, we help any sort of business, whether they're at the ideation stage or they're ready to grow. We help them all across the board.
Is there certain criteria to enter the Rick Center from an ideation standpoint? Do they have to sort of have the idea validated, or do they have to come in with a mentor or from someone maybe established within the field to provide some legitimacy?
Really, so it's really all across the board.
Oh,
so
okay.
you can come in and you just have an idea, and we help you really polish that idea. If you come in and you have an advisor or mentor, maybe you're ready to get funding. So it's really based on the stage you come in, and we divide our services up that way.
You mentioned an interesting thing about the Rick Center being like the little brother of Mars Discovery District, which is a pretty big innovation hub within the city of Toronto. Why do you think these innovation hubs are so important to any city?
So really, each city has its own key priorities, and one of them is innovation and entrepreneurship. If you support those local entrepreneurs, you end up leading to economic prosperity in your community. And that's only really going to happen if you promote that local investment, if you promote those local businesses, and you help them grow.
Especially since having the dollar in the current state that it is, local investment is really what's going to drive a lot of success within the community, within cities,
Absolutely.
within potential to grow and really foster some great local businesses. What are some of the success stories that have come out of the Rick Center?
Oh, there's been tons. I get to work with really cool entrepreneurs every day. So really interesting ones I can highlight. So there's a client called Char Technologies, and they basically developed a sulfur technology.
Oh, okay.
They recently just merged with a company called Clean Tech Capital, over $1 million in funding, I think.
Wow, excellent.
Also raised $750,000 from a federal program. Really great technologies, and really cool entrepreneurs in the community for sure.
You mentioned a key word there, and that was funding. Funding is very important to bring entrepreneurial ideas to life. And, I'm curious, with the Unlock Your Big Idea pitch competition, what sparked this idea?
So really, it's part of this Ontario network of entrepreneurs. All of us, as our own little innovation hubs, had smaller pools of funding. And because getting funding is so important, we decided to all come together, share our resources, share that expertise, and bring together a significant award. And because of that, now we can award over $60,000 with this pitch competition. Really, funding programs are really competitive when it comes to applying to them, getting the award, and spending the money afterwards. So we feel that if you have your idea well thought out and you get the resources from these Ontario network of entrepreneur organizations, you're really in a better stage to go and pitch to any sort of funding organization.
Knowing a lot of entrepreneurs, funding is probably the biggest challenge. People have great ideas, people have great teams. A lot of people tell me that, hey, if I can find the right amount of funding, I can bring this idea to life and it can be successful. Why do you think funding is so difficult to find?
Funding is, I would say it's partially difficult because people don't, I would say they don't polish their idea well.
Okay.
So I would say the main thing you need to know the minute you're ready to get funding is, do you have a need for your product, and will a customer buy it? If you can't answer both of those questions, then you need to get out of your basement, get out of just making and thinking about the idea. You need to go talk to customers. Once you get that validation, then funding is really easy to find, because then you have proof, right? Then you don't need to convince someone that, nope, my idea is great, but look, there's 5 other people saying that.
You know, you look at shows like Dragon's Den or Shark's Tank, you know, these shows have really done a very interesting job in glamorizing entrepreneurial funding, or glamorizing an investment per se. You know, do you think, you know, the idea behind funding and, you know, with these avenues like a Dragon's Den or a Shark Tank, that it's doing a bit too much? Is it almost not providing a sense of reality in regards to the hardship or the amount of work that's needed to get funding for an idea?
So I feel when it comes to shows like Dragon's Den and Shark Tank, it's a lot more for the entertainment value, for sure. 50% of the deals don't even go through based on due diligence,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
But I think what the value that it does provide is the education behind it. While it does not show you the hardships, at least when someone comes to Dragon's Den and they're pitching, they know what a business model is and what your value proposition is. And that teaches the other entrepreneurs watching. So you're not left like in the unknown when you want to open up a business. You know what a valuation is. It kind of makes you think that way. But on the other end of the table, we're entering into the most entrepreneurial times of history.
Oh, we are.
Really, yes, funding is very hard, but at the same time, if you have the right access to resources, access to the right network, you can still get very far with smaller amounts of funding. So that's very important to remember.
One of the common questions that comes up, you know, on a show like Dragon's Den or Shark Tank is, you know, if someone pitches a product, they typically ask them, hey, what are your first year sales like? What are some of your growth projections? Are those things that, you know, anybody who wants to participate in the Unlock Your Big Idea pitch competition, are those things that they would have to consider to bring to the forefront? Or are these simply ideas that, hey, it sounds great, I think it has potential, let's put some resources behind it?
So we're catering the Unlock Your Big Idea to the early stage entrepreneurs, because
excellent.
they need those smaller amounts of funding to really grow their business and take it to the next level. But we have one category, investment ready category, and that's for those kind of businesses that have those projections and they have first year sales, because that's what an investor looks for. Earlier stage startups can really go for those government programs and those funding programs like Unlock Your Big Idea and get those smaller pools of funding to help them be investment ready.
Amarpreet, you mentioned a very interesting, thought-provoking idea around how we're officially in the times of an entrepreneur. You know, everyone wants to be an entrepreneur these days. What is it about entrepreneurship that really makes it so attractive to everyone?
Sure. So entrepreneurship, between a corporate life and an entrepreneur's life, when you're in a corporate job, you are a passenger. So you follow along the ride, you do what you're told. Entrepreneur's life, a startup life, you are the driver. So things live and die by what you do. I was recently reading an article. Intuit Canada did a survey. 33% of entrepreneurs only got into a startup because they wanted to be their own boss.
Really?
And they found a much better work-life balance, even though they work longer hours, but it just gives you that sense of like, I'm doing something. And I think that's a good focus. On the other hand, the province has such a large focus on the youth job strategy. So they want to focus on getting youth skilled in other ways, so that because of the changing job market, right? So,
you know, a couple weeks ago on the show, I had the opportunity to interview the Daniel and Daniel show, which is Daniel Francavilla as well as Daniel Lewis, who owns Tea by Daniel. And one thing that Daniel Lewis had mentioned was that being your own boss is great, but sometimes you battle when it comes to really disassociating yourself from your idea, and when it's time to kind of go back to real life. You know, and when it's time to separate your business world, your business entrepreneurial life from your personal life.
Yeah.
What is it like? What do you think are ways in which entrepreneurs can work to find that work-life balance?
I think one of the ways would be to actually be in an office rather than being at home, because then you don't know the difference between when you're during your personal life and dealing with professional life. The RIC Center has a RIC Center incubator program.
Oh, excellent.
So when it comes to you're at that stage when you're ready to launch your product or you're going into a higher amount of sales, you go and you basically apply to the RIC incubator program. We incubate you for 6 months, and we've seen companies that have had higher sales, have gotten funding. Really, it gives them that work-life balance because now they have to come to an office and it seems much more professional. They seem more mature.
Excellent. You know, you mentioned that there are, for the Unlock Your Big Idea Pitch competition, that there are a number of different partners involved who are pooling in resources for prizing. Who are some of these associations that are involved?
So the overall funding partner is the Ontario Centres of Excellence.
Okay.
RIC Centre works with bunch of different organizations. So one of them being the Brampton Entrepreneur Center and the Mississauga Business Enterprise Centers. There's Humber Launch and IQ. Both of these are associated with their own educational institutions. So Humber College and UTM. And then their overall arching umbrella is the Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs.
And they're all investing resources into this competition?
Yep.
That's excellent. Well, why do you think it's important to have all of these different associations apart in regards to an initiative like this to really drive entrepreneurial thinking within the community?
Really good question, because we have between these 5 partners, we have our motto, there is no wrong door. So when it comes to the type of people that we can help, really it's whichever partner you go to, they'll direct you to the right resource. And I think it's important to have this shared expertise and shared resources, because people can be helping the wrong kind of client and they're not getting the right advice. So if someone has a tech idea, RIC Center has a lot of expertise in clean tech, ICT, advanced manufacturing. So if a Humber Launch client is doing that kind of thing, they'll come to RIC Center and they'll get better advice.
Excellent, excellent. You know, we are running out of time, but quickly, you know, for anyone interested in competing in the Unlock Your Big Idea Pitch competition, what's some advice that you would give them when it comes to pitching their idea?
Do it well.
Do it well. Elaborate, please.
So, like I mentioned before, make sure that you have gotten the validation about your idea. Go and talk to customers. Tell us what the customers say. Make sure it's a well thought out pitch. It's not boring, right? Make sure you're looking at the audience. You're targeting investors, or are you talking to customers? Tell them what they want to hear and have a value proposition.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I wanted to thank you for joining us here on Business Casual, and you know, quickly let the viewers know when are the applications due and when's the big pitch competition taking place?
So the applications are due on March 18th. You can follow us, any of the partners, on social media, and all the details will be there. We're hosting 5 more information sessions throughout till March 18th if you're interested in coming out to those. And the final pitch competition will be May 5th.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Harpreet, for joining us, and best of luck with the Unlock Your Big Idea Pitch competition. We'll be right back here on Business Casual after this brief commercial message.